okay, so I realized that I didn't do an intro to my manga guide. And so that's what this is. So basically, the guide I'll be doing will be based on manga collecting comics from Japan in the Japanese language, as opposed to in English, which is my native language. Now that I'm older, I'm able to read Japanese. Back when I started collecting manga, I also collected the Japanese language versions, even though I couldn't read them back when I was 12 or 13. And that's because when you're collecting something, there's two aspects, and sometimes they don't always go together. Those two aspects that I'm referring to in this case would be entertainment value and then collector value. Entertainment value is when, back when I was 12 or 13, if I wanted to know the storyline of a comic book, I would go and borrow the English language, my native language at the time, the only language that I could read. I would go borrow them or buy them and read that to get to know the storyline, but those comics would not be part of my collection. And the reason is because from the collector's standpoint, the Japanese language original version is more desirable. On the flip side, for example, some of you collect Superman comics, right? Let's say there's a guy or gal in Japan or Germany and they want to collect Superman comics. And, they can't read English. So they would get their German or Japanese language version of Superman comics. But then let's say they wanted to have a really serious collection that would have a lot of big value later on in, a few years. They would want to get a hold of the English language version even if they can't read it, because that would have the higher value, being that that's the original language that Superman was first published in. So that's my standpoint also. I own series like Dragon Ball, for example. I had the opportunity to buy the whole set of Dragon Ball comics, even though I don't really like Dragon Ball. But it added collector value to my whole collection to have that series, even though I don't really care about it. So there's two different. Obviously, I collect comics also that I enjoy reading. But what I'm saying is my collection as a whole. Each thing that I get from my collection, it'll have entertainment value and collector value, or or just collector value. I don't always like the comics I get for explaining that why I collect Japanese language comics, and why you could also collect the Japanese language versions, because those collections out there of the manga in English, they're good for entertainment value. If you can't read Japanese, then that's great. You're enjoying the storyline, and that's exactly what the author intended. But if you were going to be a serious collector, I'm afraid that those would not be very valuable later on. So if you were interested in collecting, I would say check out my videos. Also, I noticed from guide number 1 that I sort of assume too much, and some of you watching it may not there may be a point that I touched upon that just went right over your head. You have no idea what I'm talking about. So over there in the sidebar, I'm going to put some links to some useful information, and then hopefully I'll keep going with guide number 2 in a few days, maybe. I'm going to back up. The first guide was kind of a mishmash of a bunch of just blah spewing points about saving money. Didn't really touch on all the points I needed to. So guide number 2 is going to be all about special editions and different versions of things, like how you'll have original series, and then you'll have the new refreshed reprinting with additional or changed content, and I'll be explaining the details of that. Explaining more about film comics, special edition magazines, and just, the nitty-gritty of special editions, basically. To branch off from the last video where I was talking about how You should hold off buying special edition or extras unless it's a series that you also like, entertainment-wise. So obviously I have Dragon Ball, but I'm not going to buy extras for Dragon Ball because it doesn't have enough entertainment value for me. So anyway, I hope you're enjoying them so far. And keep leaving me comments so I can answer questions. Yeah, bye.